February 25th, 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby 2. This is the defendant lobby, alright. But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? Where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth? Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777777 ID number is. That is, well, I have pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding the ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, right? And Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? Later, nerd. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. February 25th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. Maybe we're always in courtroom number 9. I don't know. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Police Chief Gant? Oh, he just appeared! He's got teleporting powers! Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, G, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Ah, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is your... this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. I object. Objection! What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana.
Objection!
You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. The request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there is no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This cannot be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Edgeworth is going to object. Edgeworth is going to object. One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Created another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh, to whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Go Edgeworth! We're rooting on Edgeworth now. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. If that's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this, mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. Being somebody's sister is not an occupation, I would just like to know. Yeah. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. This is correct. Yes, I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember the trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave me a pass. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear was finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. Yeah, 2 years ago. I was waiting on my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. Alright, what do we need to do here? That's really the question. Okay. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. Okay. A man came running in and took me hostage. Alright. Neil Marshall rescued me. Okay. But I'll never forget what I saw that instant. Okay, I think we should get more details on that. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby, so the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then the lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago. Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. You told Detective Goodman about what you saw. Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Oh, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Present the picture!
Objection!
Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may be well, but that does not mean it doesn't exist. Behold, this is the evidence list from the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over? Turn it... Ah! What's this? Yes. What is it? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here.
Objection!
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only a prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in the case ever reached you. What? What? Order. But Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor. Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Huh? Yeah, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Is something wrong? Do you ever have to ask? He's so mad. Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. That thing? That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Yeah, she's got this look, which is, I don't know if we've seen that look before. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. You notice how the knife was not pointed? It was like broken? To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Emma's picture. Alright, I'm pretty sure that something's wrong here. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were shadows. After that I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in the instant. Okay. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives. Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Oh well. That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Is there? What is it? What is it? Oh, the knife tip being in the wound. There's no tip on the knife. Objection! There's no tip on the knife. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy? Yeah, it's the lack of tip of the knife. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look, you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon. Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off at the victim's body. It was a conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
Objection!
And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Ah! What's the meaning of this? Wow, everybody's objecting. Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand.
Objection!
Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right, but what does this mean?
Objection!
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgot already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Alright, I see where this is going. Order, order, order. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? It was the knife of the freaking thing that was used. Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place on the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King and Prosecutor's Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one? If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright, in that instance, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume then that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Alright, we're gonna present the picture right here.
Take that!
The answer lies in the past. 2 years ago in the past. Right here, inside this picture. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Ah! What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw is in all likelihood from this award. Order. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out his knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation.
Objection!
But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Not necessarily. But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Somebody said hold it. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man... I think I knocked the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. 2 years ago? The blue badger didn't even exist 2 years ago. This is certainly most unusual.
Objection!
Try impossible! The chief of detectives haven't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now bring its cross-examination. Stop it! Please, don't pursue this any further. Lana? What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defendant will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. Emma's recollection. When I saw the man raise his knife, I don't think there's anything... I panicked and rushed toward both of them.
Hold it!
Why would you do something so dangerous? Well, what else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. She seems convinced that Drake was the one holding the knife. But as we've just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've got to help that other person. Oh. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. What? What do you mean, you think? It all happened so fast. I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur. Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So then what happened next? Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. You couldn't have. Are you sure about this? Of course, see? I drew a picture of him here. But it was the chief detectives who thought up this hideous beast, and that was just this year. The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling I'd seen him before, somewhere. Now I finally remember. Oh, brother. Just when you thought that the thing had caused enough commotion. Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing? He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with his winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had three creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be, but it's important is that what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, please tell us what the shadow really is. What is it that Emma saw when... Who is this blue badger really? I just might know. I don't know, but I just might know. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense belief that on this fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room! Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instance? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike. What was it? What was it? Was it this? Was it this vase? Was it the vase? Was it the vase? Was it the vase? Was it the vase? It must have been the vase. It has to be the vase. It's gotta be this vase thing. It's gotta be the vase. It's gotta be the vase. I can't think of what else it could be. Unless it's this. But I don't think that would be it. It's gotta be the vase. I'm going with vase. I'm going with vase.
Take that!
The mysterious blue badger was in fact this. But what's that? What exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed, it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, if we were to change our viewpoint, I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. Okay. Oh. This is hard. Kinda like that, but not really. Oh, wait. I think I can get it at some point. Let's turn it like that. Okay. Rotate. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. There we go. It kind of looks like it, right? Right? Kind of? Sort of? Does that kind of look like it? Sure, why not?
Take that! Objection!
Allow me to remind the defense this case hinges on the witness drawing. Mr. Wright can't match this. Okay. Come on, Mr. Wright, you can do it. Alright. Wait, wait a second. Are these things... Oh, wait! Wait a second. Damn. No, that's not what I wanted to do! Ah! I hit the wrong button! I'm glad they're not taking away points from me for this, because this is a pain in the ass. This is a pain in the ass. There, that looks like it, doesn't it?
Take that!
There we go! Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. No, it can't be. Order. The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So the blue badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything.
Objection!
I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed, very well then. Please tell us what's different now that we know the witness saw this jar. The murder, the location, or the murder weapon? I'd go with the murder weapon. Allow me to take take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. Oh, I didn't notice that! It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant.
Objection!
But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself.
Objection!
Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dart and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office.
Objection!
Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. I have? So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instance, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact of the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was standing on, what would he have hit? Aha! A suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword. Yes. And since the man was knocked into the armor, was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking... Yes. There's another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility. Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nonetheless... I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as defense theorized, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Yep. She's like, you mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No. Thud. Oh, she passed out. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So, it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then so it was the victim who took the witness... Who's the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that, coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edwards, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Oh, Edgeworth has a thing. Touche, Miss Skye. Of course. That only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean, the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In one manner or another. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name. It's got to be in the evidence. We're gonna say it's in the evidence, of course. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys the message. It's probably on the jar. It's got bloody, weird shapes on it. Doesn't it? But how does that work? Oh, we can use luminol on it, I'll bet you. Maybe. The dark and red stains must be blood traces from the incident 2 years ago. Hey, Finkelroy, can you send me that in a chat message? So that I can add it later. The dark stains must be blood traces from the incident 2 years ago. Only the fragment found in Chief Gant's office still has lines remaining on it. Wait, what am I doing? Oh, I gotta present it. I'm looking at it. I need to present it. Okay, I present. Take that! This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there's a line there, drawn in blood. So what are you saying? Is these dots were once lines? Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used a few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. Why would he do this? I just want to... Why would he do this? This makes no sense. Like, at all. Why he would do this. Like, Emma, it was a freaking accident. Like, in the moment, why would he do this? One that someone apparently wiped away. The blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No! Mr. Wright, what kind of message did this victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal us the answer. I've got to connect these dots to make some letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written given the circumstances. So, this makes no sense. No sense that he would write Emma's name. Like, that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be Emma, so here's the A, here's the M, and here's the E. I saw it, so... It makes no sense that he would write this. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. Seaworthy, can't I say I didn't warn you? Oh, he's back, jackass. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case. Were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Oh, he's pissed off. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 Okay, I think that's the end of the day. The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. To be continued.